And welcome, Joe. Looks like you are the first person on the stream. And I certainly hope I have audio. And we're going to see if I can get the Christmas music to work. Because I've had fun trying to set this up at the last minute. Because if I wasn't doing it at the last minute, this would not be a Justin live stream. In fact, I ran out of time to even go try to find my elf hat and all that other fun stuff. So I am going to see... Oh, the audio's good. Now, we're going to see if I installed Chrome all for naught. Because this certainly got confusing. Because I got Firefox on one window and Chrome on the other window. And I see myself twice. And this was all because I'm hoping if I hit this button that the audio comes through on the stream. So we have background Christmas music. Knock on metal desk. Well, the Grinch stole the Christmas music, I guess. All right. Well, I might as well close that Chrome window that's just driving me crazy anyways. All right, so looks like there's no background Christmas music. So let's get to what I'm probably better at, and that would be soldering. So I have a Christmas tree. A Christmas tree that actually has lights on it. And yes, that if you see behind me, that is my attempt at... There is a wreath and an angel behind me, not that you can probably see it. But I have a Christmas tree kit. And it came from Amazon, like most stuff I buy does. And I bought it. So this is not a sponsored video. This is me trying to do a seasonally themed solder stream. So I paid all of $12 for this, which we'll see if that's a good or bad price. Alright, so it looks like we have instructions, which I may need. And we have some green PCBs. And we have a USB cable, a battery pack, some resistors, and the other components, which are conveniently in a plastic bag. All right. Well, and I don't know how to tell if those are different colored LEDs. I have no idea how to tell the colors apart. All right. And we have... instructions. Looks like this is a 15-step process. And, alright. Oh, that's cool. They actually put the schematic on the instructions. Well, to answer my question, I don't need to worry about what color they are, because they are, as the instructions said, they are colorful LEDs. As in, multicolor. Alright. So at least now I don't have to worry about putting those in wrong. Well, I guess maybe I still do have to worry about putting them in wrong, but at least not mixing up the colors. So we have music. We have soldery bits. I have obviously not cleaned my desk because that's just one of those things that if I clean it, it will get dirty. All right, well, I think it's time to start putting our Christmas tree together. Because I was actually going to put a Christmas tree behind me, but it turns out that the Christmas tree I had that I thought was pre-lit was not pre-lit. So yes, and welcome, Thomas. Yes, well, I was going to start streaming at 2, and then I think Mike scheduled at 2, and then there's probably other people on. So, well, If I didn't do this today, then, well, it wouldn't be Sunday, so it couldn't be a Solder Sunday stream. So, by golly, I was going to continue. And I'm just glad I've got the background music working. All right, so we have an easy 15-step process to putting the Christmas tree together. And the first step is to install the resistance. And now I just realized there is one item. Ah, there we go. All right. Without further ado, I am going to install the resistance. And it appears as if there are 3 different values of resistors. Yay! Oh. All right, so I am going to have to see what values of resistors these are. There are, let's see, there's 1K, 2.2K, and 10K resistors. All right, so this is the 2.2. And let's see, those are going to be the 10K, which means these should be the 1K. Yes, 1K. Yes, I could probably learn how to read the color codes, but where would be the fun in that? All right. Oh, okay. This is cool. So it looks like on the PCB, they marked where the 10K resistors go, and R7, where's R7? R7 is the 2.2K ohm resistor, and I am looking for where it is, because it does not appear to be marked. No, it is not marked. Yeah, they marked where the 10K ones go on the boards, but the rest of them are just resistors. So I guess since I'm installing the resistance, the prudent thing to do would be to go ahead and install the 2.2K ohm resistor, because it's not marked on, it's only marked on the instructions where it goes. All right. There's the 2.2K. Goes in R7. All right. So let's see, there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So there are 6 1K resistors. And they go in the 6 resistor positions that are not marked and is not R7, because R7 is where the 2.2K goes. So there are only one of the boards has a 2.2K ohm resistor. Of the other resistors, I think each board has 3 of each. And so I'm getting the 1K ohm resistors. And all right. So we'll go ahead and get these resistors. Move some things out of the way. And if you like the Christmas music you're hearing, my friend Chris Vanover recorded it a while ago. Hi, Steve. Ah, all right. That sounds good, Steve. Just don't worry about my question about the zip drive, because I figured out what that LED code meant. It it meant that the microcontroller in the board in the zip drive was completely, totally, and utterly malfunctioning. To the point where I did a little more troubleshooting, I think, the day after, and the microcontroller decided to give up the ghost, so to speak. Although I am really having bad luck with zip drives. I've got another zip drive, and it has a bad motivator. So I had to fix something on it. I broke all the clips fixing it, and now I can't get the plastic aligned so that discs eject properly. But it at least works, and if I can manage to get the plastic aligned correctly, then great, but at least it works. I was able to get the data off that LC with it. and then just about never got the disc ejected. But all right, so you don't need it to eject. Well, that is very true, Steve. I guess I could just be grateful that I have one zip drive that I can use, one zip disk that I can use in the zip drive, and hopefully it doesn't start clicking of deathing. Because I don't know what vintage of those zip drives that do that. But I did get the data off that LC, so that was the important thing. I just wish I was able to get that Zip Plus to work, but, well, the microcontroller was apparently minutes from letting the smoke out. There was really no hope for that zip drive. So the real moral of that story is, if you're looking at zip drives online and the seller has a picture of it in the only state they can get it to work, and both LEDs appear to be on, and their auction description tells you that that's all that ever happens is the LEDs turn on and stay on, it's probably best to find another zip drive auction, because that's probably a zip drive that probably has a microcontroller problem, and you're not going to be able to fix it. Unless you're looking for parts one to get other parts from it. Yeah, you might be good there, but that's where my other warning comes in, at the plastic on zip drives is like very brittle at this point. But there is no Iomega Corporation that I know of to even be surprised that their zip drives are still being used. Alright, and alright, now I have installed the resistance. Yep, but if you like the Christmas music that I am playing, I think I put a link in the YouTube description. So that is, you can play it all you want. And I would like to thank my friend Chris Vanover for letting me play the music. Alright. Install triode. Pin bending 90 degrees. Alright, I believe they are referring to what I think are actually transistors. I could be wrong. There could be some other component. Looks like there should be 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are marked. They are marked as a S9014 part. And the instructions do say to I think somewhere just warns you to watch the polarity, but should be fine. The silk screen has the half dome of the package. So I think I'm going to solder them and then, well, maybe I can bend the pins and then solder. All right. I think basically it's telling me that you want them to be laying down flat on the board. I think that may just be for appearance. Oh, hi Jay. Yes, it does look like a fun project. I will let you know what my fun rating is after I finish putting it together. But yeah, link is in the description. It's not an affiliate link. I gave up with trying to do Amazon affiliate links. Alright. Anyways, so I've put the transistors in. I have laid them flat. And the instruction says to do that. I don't know if that's for appearance or because it'll actually conflict with something when you put the two boards together. Well, that I'll know when I actually try to put them together. So anyways, so that's what that board looks like with the transistors laid flat. And I'll get the other board and put my pins, since I took a pause to show what I did. Alright, let me get the other board. Oops. Alright. Yep. And the reason I bent the pins before I soldered, I decided that it would reduce the chance that I stressed the solder joint. If I didn't leave enough of the component out on the one side of the board to fold it down. Yep. My only one general complaint about kits like this is sometimes some of the components don't have the greatest of leads on them. I know the resistors have flimsy leads, but I mean the components are fine. all the other components do seem to have decent leads on them, so I will give them that. I've done these kits where all the components just had really thin leads. Alright, so next step, install electrolytic capacitor. Long pin is positive, short pin is negative poles. Alright. I do appreciate their thoroughness. Again, I think there's 6 of these. And it does appear as... oh yeah. Yep, so long pin is positive. And again, you want to bend the component down. I think it shows on the silk screen where they want you to bend the capacitor. And I'll just warn you that the capacitors, they're clearly marked which leg is positive, which leg is negative. Long pin is positive, but they're not all going the same direction on the board. So just a word of caution. I mean, so again, I'm putting the component through, and then I'm bending the capacitor down over top of the footprint marked on the silk screen, and then I'll solder it. And right, and we'll solder this one. All right. All right, so now we got our capacitors on. I think everything's still out of the way for putting these two boards together. Oh, yep, all right. We're good on that. All right. Install the LED. Oh. I just realized it. I'm doing both boards when in reality the instructions are written to do one board than the other. Well, it'll be fine. Alright, so install the LEDs. The long pin is positive. The short pin is negative. Alright, I think the square pad is positive. Yeah, it's not marked plus and minus on the board, but if you look at the boards, there's some little squiggles on the negative for whatever reason. So I'm going to just insert the LEDs and then I'll bend them, because basically you bend them out so that they are flat along the side of the board. And I've already checked these. These are multicolor LEDs. So they'll change colors on their own. So do not worry about the fact that they all came in one bag and that you have to sort the colors out. Nope, they are all colorful LEDs, as the description says, which just means they're multicolor. Alright, it also looks like, at least on this board, which I don't know if this is the A board or the B board, it looks like the bottom, the lower pins are the positive ones. I think that's probably, oh, it's the same on both of them. So yeah, I'm going to put these LEDs in, and then I'll double check that the long pins, which are positive, are all on the lower pins. And then I'll bend the LEDs and solder these, and then I'll get the other board. Because I think the way these go on, I definitely want to bend the pins before I solder them to make sure I get the LEDs looking nice. Alright, come on. Oh. Oh, it looks like I got some solder in that hole. Well, did I? Yep, I probably did. There we go. Alright, there we go. I got some solder in one of the holes while soldering the resistor. Alright. Alright. So I'm checking the pins here. I'm also noticing that the tunes are about to stop. There we go. So anyways, so I put the LEDs in, but then you have to bend them. But what I'm going to do is bend them so that they're basically right on the edge of the board, right like that. So But yes, you'll definitely want to bend these before you solder them, because otherwise you won't necessarily know how much lead to leave on to bend them. So there we go. Don't have to be exactly perfect. Close enough will work. Okay. Right, there we go. And you take a few moments to all right. All right. And just going to solder all the LEDs. Oh, that's an LED pen. All right. All right. So I think that is one board down. Yep. That looks good. Other than this one LED kind of moved out of place on me. Whoop. It's probably fine, but well, it's fine. All right. So we'll repeat on the other board. Oh, actually, I could test this. Alright, the instructions say connecting power supply test. Alright, I got batteries. Alright. Oh, I thought that was... Oh, yep, that's right. Okay, so now that I've put that board together, oh, there we go. Alright, cool. So that board works. I know it's kind of hard to see, but oh. Well, that's weird. My light refuses to turn on. Oh. Well, no, I got a light on my... Oh, did that come unplugged? No. Weird. Now I've got a light on the overhead rig that is to illuminate my workbench, and it just randomly decided to stop working. Alright. Oh well. Well, I guess, okay, well, let me unplug it for safety because it's not turning back on. Well, that is weird, though. I don't know if you could tell, but this is the light that just stopped working, and the UL label is quite wrinkly. like this light has been getting hot. Well, I know what that light's getting for Christmas. I guess I also get to see how easy it is to send a light in for warranty replacement. That is assuming it's got a 1-year warranty. I'll have to go find the receipt. Alright, well, I do apologize, but well, when your light stops working, it's kind of hard to replace it. Alright. Well, I guess I'll just have to solder this with a shadow over top because I don't have another light that I can quickly... Well... Okay, I don't have another light that I can quickly put into place that's not so bright that it's going to cause other issues. Oh. Well, I guess while I insert these LEDs into this board, maybe now is as good a time as any to bring you this important message. Because maybe if I get about another, say 960 subscribers, then I'll be able to get sponsors to pay for another light for my workbench. Or maybe if I ask Santa really nicely, Santa will bring me another light. Sorry, Joe. If you could have heard that, you are now deaf. Yeah. I didn't do any post-processing to that. You can, but yeah, just... Well, actually, I think my car's working fine for now, according to the dealership's courtesy inspection checklist. It was actually the first time in a long time that everything on the inspection checklist was marked green. I.e., they couldn't find any other ways of getting money out of me this month. Because it turns out the deathly horrible rattle was just a loose heat shield in the engine compartment, which they actually fixed at no charge. But I did have to have them replace the control column for the turn signals. Yeah, let Santa know I'd like a high CRI light for my workbench so that when I film videos, the light looks good. Although, quite honestly, at this point, as dim as it is on my workbench, I'd probably take a bug light bulb, and then at least the bugs wouldn't want to fly around my workbench. Thanks, Dave. All right. Oh, yeah. Alright, I put the LEDs in. I'm just bending them now so that they look all pretty. And yeah, I think next time I generate one of those templates, animations, I'll maybe pull the video into Premiere Pro and double check the audio level, because that was exactly how I rendered it. And StreamYard probably played it exactly as I uploaded it. Although I was just finally glad to get the video I used for the stream starting to render. Let's just say that I don't know exactly why. Probably because it's a bad idea to edit videos on a MacBook Air. But I actually kernel panicked my MacBook Air trying to render the intro video on my MacBook Air. Because I guess I didn't learn from the first... Because I actually... the first time I tried rendering it, Premiere Pro crashed. The second time I tried rendering it, well, Premiere Pro wouldn't even bring up the render option. I figured, oh, it left some process running on the video card. Let me restart the Mac. So then the third time was the charm. Not only did Premiere Pro, I believe, crash again, but it brought down the entire Mac OS with it. I'm sure if I told Adobe about the crash, they'd probably just they'd laugh at me. It'd be the one time where I would hear the agent put me on speakerphone with the entire call center, and then they would ask me, so sir, again, what were you doing? And I would tell them, well, I was trying to render a video on my MacBook Air, and then I would hear the entire call center start to laugh. And they'd probably be right. To which then I'd hear me going back off a speakerphone, and they would recommend that I buy a better desktop or laptop for rendering video, such as maybe one of the new M1 Macs or something that's... Yeah. I don't think my MacBook Air is technically supported by Premiere Pro, the current version of Premiere Pro. Although, it is quite possible the real problem was one of the videos that I pulled into the timeline to render the intro video was in a weird codec, and I'm wondering if the plugin for that codec actually crashed and burned pretty badly. Oh yeah, I'm not denying the fact that the M1 MacBook Pro is awesome. I'm just, if I would stop repairing my car and also trying to buy lights so I could see in the basement, and maybe stopped buying a lot of other things, then maybe I could buy an M1 MacBook Pro. Anyways, I rendered the video on my PC. Yeah, I had to render it on my PC because the MacBook Air was not having any of it. And yeah, I'm going to go through the logs and see if I can figure out exactly why I kernel panicked the Mac. But I can tell you, I kind of knew that it was kernel panicking because Premiere Pro ramped the fan up all the way to 100%. And then the mouse cursor stopped moving. And while that's not necessarily a sign that you kernel panicked the Mac, then the fan started ramping back down to 0. And it was at that point when, at a certain point in the fan ramp, when it just kept going lower and lower and lower, there was a point where I knew what I had just done. Because there's only one reason the fans start ramping down as low as they were going, and that is because you just kernel panicked the operating system. And the fans are going down that low because no processes of any consequence are running any longer. And yep, sure enough, waited long enough, and then you see the screen go black, and then you see the screen go gray, and then you see the multilingual "you're screwed" screen. I'm sure Apple has another name for it, but it's the your computer was restarted because of a problem. Please wait. Although I guess the consolation prize was that my MacBook Air was telling me that it was going to take, like, before it crashed, of course, 20 minutes to render that, I think, what's about 5.5 minutes. Which is probably about right, given how complex it was. Because there were probably about 4 different video streams that it was rendering down to 1. My PC rendered it in a minute. So maybe the real moral of the story is, maybe I'll still do the timeline work on the MacBook Air, because that really doesn't stress the computer that much. But maybe when it's time to render the video out in Premiere Pro, maybe that's the time where I should copy all the files onto my PC and render it there. Actually, I gave up on trying to build the Threadripper system because it's just so hard to find RAM for the particular Threadripper I had. But it is a Ryzen. It is a Ryzen 5. Now, if it was the Threadripper system, it probably would have rendered it in like 15 seconds or something. But I had trouble getting Threadrippers. Well, actually, I don't know that it's necessarily Threadrippers, but certain Ryzen processors are pickier about memory than others. And it was a 2950WX Threadripper. So it was based off of first gen Ryzen. It's like still first gen Ryzen core with a slightly updated memory controller, but I was just having trouble finding memory that it liked, that was in a sufficient quantity to give it the amount of memory I wanted to. So, yeah. So I actually pivoted the build, and it's a Ryzen 5 3600. Which actually, the nice thing about going to the 3600 is, even though it's a second gen Ryzen, second gen Ryzen is easier to find memory for. It also, the particular one I have, supports PCIe 4. So even though my video card is PCIe 4, well, it's a compromised card. It's PCIe 4, but only 8 lanes. There's only 8 lanes on the card. But hey, it's PCIe 4. But yeah, having those cores, having all those cores is great, unless you really can't get the memory you need to be able to feed the cores. Then you might as well have a little Pentium. Alright, so this board works. Yeah, I gotta, I'm gonna list my Threadripper on eBay, unless I manage to find someone that would really like it. But it's not a cheap processor. Yeah, I started building mine during pandemic, so finding RAM became problematic. Alright, so I've got the two boards. So that's why one reason I went down to the 3600. It's a lot easier to find RAM for a 3600. So I actually have like the 3600 megahertz RAM. I think it's 32 megabytes of RAM. Yep, Jay doesn't PC at all, so yeah, didn't have any problems. Alright, so now we work on this baseboard, and so we gotta install the switch. Actually, my iMac G4 runs great with 512 megs of RAM, which is good because I've not had any luck trying to buy a memory, a SODIMM that it likes. Alright, so the instructions are warning that there's a notch. It's really hard to see on the camera, but it's easy to see. I guess you can kind of see that it's indented on one side. There we go. So the notch faces down according to the instructions on the switch. And let's see here. So I'm going to use a little bit of gaff tape to hold the switch into place. Or not gaff tape, Kapton tape. My gaff tape is not on my workbench now that I have Kapton tape. Alright, let's see here. Install the DC socket. Oh, reinforce DC socket with component pins. Alright. Well, I will do that as long as I don't drop the component pins. Alright. So yes, as you're building this project, don't prematurely throw away your component lead clippings, because you will want one for reinforcing the DC jack. So I've got one that is luckily just long enough. Alright, and now I'm going to solder these pins. And fix the solder bridge I accidentally created. Although those two pins might actually be connected. No, they're not. There we go. Let me add a little more solder to this wire that's a reinforcing wire. I want to make sure if you're well, Jay, I hope for my vintage computing that you'll give me the. I think I prefer my Power Mac G4 with the Radeon Pro 9700, but I guess for G3, that Rage 128 is a pretty popular card for it. Alright, come on, soldering iron. Heat the pad. There we go. Oh. Alright, that was a good catch. I don't know why YouTube hid the autoplay off feature. I don't like it when YouTube autoplays videos. If I'm done with my playlist, or done with the video I selected, I want to pick the next video. There we go. Alright, so I got the switch and the DC jack in. Remove the tape. Now, the instructions say to put the tree board together, and there are arrows on the Okay, I would have probably done the location arrows just a little bit differently. But basically, you want to line the arrows up. I would have probably made the arrows pointing in towards each other, but whatever. And then you want to make sure that on the baseboard there is an arrow on the baseboard, and there's an arrow on the bottom of one of the boards, and you want those to line up. But one of the reviewers said that you really want to make sure everything lines up, you want to put the tree in the baseboard. So I think I want to, so it has some play in it, which is good for adjusting, but so I think what I'm going to do is put some solder on the soldering iron so that I can then tack one of the boards in place, and alright. So I've got it tacked in on the bottom on one board, and I think I need to, so I think now I can solder the, probably, let's see here, where would be the best? So basically what you have to do is there are Um, Let me read the instructions for soldering. Oh, there's actually an LED that goes on the top. How cool. Ah, okay. Just trying to... the instructions aren't totally clear everywhere it wants you to solder, but I think I know where it wants it now. So on the base, I think we want to solder both sides of each PCB at the 4 intersecting points. Although, let me not move the solder that I'm using to hold them in place. Ah, alright, well, that's where I tacked it, so that's some more solder there. And then I think there's the pads in the middle where the trees join, which are not electrically connected to anything. I think you want to put some solder to kind of brace the boards together. At least that's how all the product photos I've seen has it done. All right. And okay. Alright, let me take the batteries out of the battery holder because it's time to solder it on. So there are two holes for each terminal on the battery holder. So the larger hole that doesn't have a via in it is for you to pass the wire through, like so, and then you kind of put the wire in It's a strain relief. And then solder the wire in. And then I'll put the other wire on. Well, I could have probably... Alright. I will adjust the length of the wires later. Oh. Alright. And then last but not least, now that I got the battery holder in, I'll have to find some tape to kind of secure it to the bottom. But there's one more LED I need to insert, and it goes on the top. And there's a pad on one of the boards marked positive and negative. So we put the LED through. And I'm going to bend it so that it kind of sits on the top of the tree about as best as I can. There we go. Alright, I guess let me solder this. And alright, put the leads, send the leads flying. Alright, so now I have one, oh, there we go. Turn it off. Turn it on. And I've got one festive Christmas tree. Yeah, there we go. So now I've got a little portable Christmas tree I can take wherever in the house I want to see the tree. I just don't have any double-sided tape where I'd fix up the battery holder. It didn't come with any double-sided tape either. Oh, wait. I think I see the... It came with some screws, though. Oh, here we go. I'd completely forgot about the screws. I see. I can, The reason why it did not include double-sided tape is because it has a better attachment solution. So let me find my spudger. Oh, that's what I knocked off the table. Okay. Here we go. Move the batteries. Alright. Yes, I could mount it on my car. Theoretically. Oh, alright. Alright, so I'm going to deal with this extra wire length here. Alright. Alright, if I just get the screw to go through the hole. I may have gotten a little solder down in the via. No biggie. There we go. And then let me see if I can get the nuts. Which I will not be able to do with gloves on my hand. Well, I am dropping pieces. Alright, so I got a screw somewhere on the floor. Alright, so I got one screw in. Alright, let me see if I can find the screw I dropped. Heard it hit the floor. Unfortunately, it's a little tiny screw. Well, I thought it hit the floor. Oh, there it is. I found it. Yay! Luckily, I managed to find it with my finger. Because it rolled back where I didn't quite expect it. Alright. Alright, so battery holder's on. Let me no, it's probably not waterproof. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's earthquake proof. Although it looks like it would probably be a good project for doing with your children. So, hang it from the rearview mirror. Yeah, that'd probably work. I'm just fixing the battery wiring here. So that I can make it a nice, tidy, neat length. turn that lead so I can put it through the hole easier. Great. Alright, well, there's the negative wire. Redone at a much more appropriate length. There we go. Now I just need to fix the positive. Still got some solder in the hole though. Yep, I'm shortening the wires. Hopefully I don't short the wires. Just trying to get the solder out of the positive terminal hole. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I guess if I'd realized that I had the fastening hardware, then I would have done this earlier. There we go. Put some solder on that to help get the wire down in the hole. Maybe that was too much. Okay, a little dab of heat. Actually, that might be fine. Just the way it is. Yep, I think that's fine just the way it is. Let me just make sure there's enough solder there to actually... Alright. Final test. All right. There we go. It blinks. And the cool thing is it came with a little USB plug, so I could plug this into a USB adapter if I had one down here, instead of using those batteries. Which in that case you still might want to attach the battery holder, but maybe only do that as a kind of a stabilizer for the bottom. I know, pretty blinkies. Ah, there we go. One finished Christmas tree. A fun project. I think it's fairly kid-friendly. I mean, everything's through hole. So, yep, Jay, I believe you picked a good project to do with your kid. Certainly looks nice. I know it doesn't quite pass the Bruce test of he prefers functional projects, but well, sometimes you have to do art. So this is my art project. And besides, the Christmas tree that I thought was pre-lit isn't, so well, here's my lit Christmas tree. Yeah, I guess if anyone's wondering, yeah, it is a perfect practice project. So yes, all right, with that, I'm going to call the stream to an end. Now that we have, I have a completed Christmas tree. So if you want to buy one for yourself, Amazon link is in the description. I think it was about 12 bucks or 13 bucks. Had all the parts. It works nice. Good to do with your kids. I know. And hopefully you'll have it soon. So with that, I will give you an ear warning, because I'm about to play the video that blew Joe's ears out a few minutes ago, but that's because I need to remind you to